a major boost in efforts to tackle PTSD and help with mental health treatment during the war, a war that is more than 20 months in. In the days after the October 7th terror rampage, 10 veteran entrepreneurs came together to organize flights from the US back to Israel for reservists wanting to join their units and to ship non-combat aid, including reconnaissance drones to specially adapted first aid kits as well. Now, the group called Israel Friends has provided some $50 million in on-the-ground aid to Israel. So for more, we now welcome to studio Kyle Blank, the Executive Director of the group Israel Friends. Kyle, thank you so much for being here. 20 months in support for soldiers, support for reservists is so crucial. So who exactly is involved in the group Israel Friends? Tell us about the work you've been involved in throughout this war.
Thank you for having me here this evening. And yes, Israel Friends was started on October 7th. It didn't exist before, and it came together to handle and combat the tragedy we were facing that day and going forwards. And what came together were 10 people who truly love Israel, and we have 3 different groups. We have 4 experts in supply chain and logistics, 4 of our co-founders, Michael Sinensky, Teddy Raskin, Amy Bove, Tyler Peters. We have 4 amazing Zionists and incredibly successful entrepreneurs out of Puerto Rico, Happy Walters, Jordan Freed, David Malka, and Danielle Bielski. And lastly, and critically, boots on the ground, people who know the system, the army, the government, and all the players, Amichai Gabay and Lior Binyamin. And they came together and said, there are problems and there are life-saving situations that we can be involved in. So we looked around and said, how can we fix that? To date, we've raised over $50 million of aid starting on October 7th, and it's all programming towards saving lives. So what does that mean? It means protective equipment, it means medical supplies, it means technological innovations, and it means mental health support nationwide.
And that mental health support is just so crucial right now because we know, of course, tackling PTSD is such a crucial element of treating people who were shocked by what happened, of course, on October 7th, survivors, families as well, not to mention, of course, families of soldiers. So talk to us about those programs in terms of dealing with trauma specifically.
Of course. So we all know there's a mental health crisis going on in Israel. It's something our team identified back in November 2023. It was apparent. And we looked around and said, we want to operate in the spaces where there are life and death situations, but there's a critical crisis gap of support. That's where Israel Friends is going to work because we're a new group. And so what we did is we looked around and said, there's a missing level of support in getting immediate access to psychiatric care. Just the system was overwhelmed. In Israel, we get access through our HMOs. What was a 3-month wait time before the war became 6, 9, even 12 months in some places in the country. So we said, what can we do? Now, I think there are some really related stories that speak to it. I was sitting with Liel, a Nova survivor, in November 2023, and she'd signed up for psychiatric support through her HMO. Her wait time was 7 more months. She had been at Nova, she had a gun in her face, and she was waiting for support. And that story is one of many stories we had heard, and we said we need to get involved. So running forward to today, we're running the country's #1 telehealth platform in partnership with the resilience centers. Our program is called The Healthy Mind. And what someone does is they show up to a Merkaz Chosen, a resilience center. They say, I need help. We have an intake, processing, and follow-up time. Today, what costs 200+ days to get support from a psychiatrist through the HMOs, at Israel Friends, it takes 3.5 days. If you show up on Sunday, you get care by Thursday. It's so important to get the care immediately, and that's what we do every day. To date, we've helped treat over 4,000 Israelis nationwide.
The most phenomenal initiative, and as you say, it's so crucial for treatment and healing to start immediately. Over and above dealing with PTSD, you are also helping in terms of protecting Israelis on the battlefield. Tell us more, what kind of technology is being used on this front?
Of course. So what we noticed early on in the war as we were flying people, soldiers and doctors back to Israel is that there simply wasn't enough gear here. We never called up this many soldiers in 50 years. And so what we did is we said, where can we provide the most support? What became apparent is early in the war is that there were not enough first aid kits in the country for everyone who's in harm's way. You have first responders, you have soldiers, you have reservists, you have the last line of defense, which is the civilian guards. There just were not enough first aid kits. And so our group has amazing experts in supply chain and logistics, source the tier 1 first aid kits and import them to Israel. Tens of thousands of first aid kits that we give out to anyone we can to make sure they can be safe. And just a few weeks ago, I got a phone call from a soldier named Matan, and Matan said, "You don't understand." His voice was trembling. He said, "You don't understand. About a month ago, you gave me a first aid kit, and I was out on the battlefield, and I was in so much stress, and someone next to me, my best friend, got shot in the chest. And I grabbed the first aid kit that was on his thigh that you gave him and used the chest seal to save his life." And what became clear was he did not have the equipment he needed prior. There's just not enough out there. And so we rushed to the front line to provide that life-saving support.
Saving lives, so important. So many heroes helping at this juncture, more than 20 months in. We don't have much time left. If you have to give a message to people watching who may want to help, may want to get involved, may want to make a difference, what would you tell them?
Of course, here at Israel Friends, we work every day to be protecting those who are protecting us. And so what you can do, come to israelfriends.org. The website's really easy to find, like it sounds, israelfriends.org. Come see what we're doing, whether it's first aid kits, whether it's commercial drones, whether it's mental health programming nationwide, what may be what speaks to your heart. You can save a life today.
And you're talking to people of all ages. Are young people getting involved as well? Very briefly.
Yes, we're seeing volunteers come from all around the world. We had a warehouse in southern Israel that was filled with people. We have a 3D printing lab in the south that's filled with Israeli wounded warriors who are running it and supplying the front line. We're seeing young adults all across the world provide support and leading programs with us every day.
Kyle Blank, Executive Director of the group Israel Friends, so appreciate you being here, sharing your knowledge, your expertise and your experience. Such an important time to hear messages and initiatives of unity, strength and resilience. Thank you very much for being here in studio.